Hi, let's create an awesome bot that can draw automatically based on an image that we provide. So I have here a picture box and here a panel. I can resize it. So let's choose an image. We're gonna drag and drop it on the blue part. And as you can see on the right side, it's gonna transform it into black and white. I can resize it and it's gonna redraw it. And now let's open Paint. I'm gonna choose the brush and size 2. Let's click somewhere in Paint and let's press the D on the keyboard. As you can see on the lower left corner, the coordinates from the mouse are very quick, very fast because the mouse is moving very fast. There is a thread slip of 5 milliseconds between each move. So it's trying to move the mouse cursor very fast. Of course, we're using some pinwalks because we need to click and move the mouse externally outside of the Windows Form bot. I just received a message box that the drawing has been finished. Of course, if you want the drawing to be much more contoured, then we can play here with the brushes or with the pencil. Let's select the pencil this time. Let's put the thickest line and let's resize a bit like this. Let's try again. Now you can see better how the drawing happens. So the mouse coordinates actually click once and then lifts the mouse up in the same millisecond. Of course, if you want the drawing to be much more better contoured and so on, you can play here with the tools. So let's get started. Okay, so here we have a Windows Form application using Net Framework as the platform. Let's try to resize the form. We're gonna first add a table layout panel. So we're gonna resize this as well. Then we gonna add a picture box. We're gonna put it here. We're gonna dock in parent container in the first row, first column. We're gonna set here stretch image as the size mode. And we're gonna get a panel now. We're gonna put it on the second column, first row. We're gonna dock in parent container. Let's select the panel. We go to properties and set the back color as slate gray. Here, the picture box also, we select the properties and set the back color to Dodger blue. Okay, now let's get two labels. One we're gonna put it here and the other one here. I'm just gonna set here the text original and here black and white. So we can distinguish between the two controls. Of course, if we put here an American and just one, you can see it's gonna escape it and then it's gonna set a underscore. So that's why we have to put two symbols of this so we can have one being displayed. So we're gonna select the first label. We're gonna go to anchor, deselect everything. Now it's gonna be set in the middle. Same thing we're gonna do with the other label. Now let's play a bit with the font so we can use maybe something bold. Now we need to select the entire table layout panel like this. And then we go to properties and we're gonna anchor it everywhere. So now when we're gonna resize the form, it's gonna come along with it very, very great. However, now since we have two columns and two rows, these two rows are very large, so we need to resize them. We select again the table layout panel control. We go here on this little arrow. We go to edit rows and columns. We select not the columns, we select the rows. We go to the second row, the one here, and we're gonna check the auto size feature. We don't want to resize anything based on pixels or percentage, just let them auto size based on the controls that is inside. Now as you can see, it has been resized successfully. Let's move it a bit up, set a name to this form, and let's start coding. I'm going to select the form. I'm going to go on Solution Explorer, right click on the form and view code. All right. So before we start, we need to understand that we have to set two hotkeys, one for drawing and one for terminating the application. So for that, we're going to use some pinvokes from user32.dll library. I'm going to just stay here inside the class. This is the first pinvoke, where we're going to use it to register the hotkey. I need to import some dependencies, so I'm just gonna hold my mouse over the DLL import word and using system runtime interrupt services. The error is gone. Let's use another pinvoke, which is the set cursor position. Hence, we need to tell somehow to our mouse that some coordinates needs to be set outside of this application. We need to use again another pinvoke. And the last pinvoke that we have to use, here we position the mouse coordinate somewhere outside of the form, and with this one we're gonna use to click. We are here in the form constructor. After the components were initialized, we're just gonna tell to that picture box control that it needs to allow dropping. After that, we need to register two hotkeys. So when we update the picture box with the image that we want to draw, we go to an external drawing program and we press the D from the keyboard from drawing. And for that, the application needs to know that we pressed it. So we're gonna use the above function. We're gonna register the hotkey on this handle. So it's this dot handle. We're gonna give an ID to this key, let's say 100. Here we're gonna set the modifier 0, we don't use that for now, and keys.d. We're gonna press this. However, we need to cast it to integer. And the same thing we're gonna do with another key. So let's give an ID of 101, and this one will be the escape key. So we just registered these two keys on this program, so it's gonna listen for them outside of the program. I'm gonna use this one for beginning to draw the image, and I'm gonna use this one to completely close or shut down the software. Okay, now let's get away from this constructor and let's create our first function. So we need a function that can translate an image into black and white. As you can see, we created a black and white image from the original image, so we can easily draw it in Paint. So let's create a function that can convert image into black and white ones. So private static, it's gonna be a bitmap type one, make black and white. Let's call it that way. It's gonna get an image as a parameter. So it's gonna return, so it's gonna get an image and also it's gonna return back another image. New image, new bitmap image based on that image that we have above. Now we need to create a graphics variable and using the from image function, pass in this new image that we created this variable. Now we need to generate a color matrix so we with some floating numbers so we can basically create this black and white image. Color matrix, new color matrix. Of course, it needs to import the system drawing imaging. Now let's hit enter inside the parentheses. Here we're just gonna create a new array and it's gonna look something like this. So first float numbers are 1.5 three times and then 0, 0. The second one is similar and the third one also the same. Now the fourth one, it's gonna be something like this. 0, 0, 0, 1, and then 0. And the last one is gonna be with negative 1, something like this. After we have created a color matrix, we can create a image attributes variable, and then to this attributes we're gonna set the color matrix with the one created above, and we're gonna set the threshold to 1. After that, we begin to draw the black and white image using this draw image function. So onto the original image, new rectangle, 0, 0, original image dot white, original image dot height. Then we close this one, comma, and then 0, 0. That's the x and y coordinates, and then original image dot width, original image dot height. Then we also have to declare parameter, which is the graphics unit. It's gonna be pixel type. And then here we're gonna pass the attributes from above. Okay, so it's gonna look something like this. Let's just put it this way. Now, after we have used this graphic to draw the image, we need to dispose of it, so it's not gonna remain open. And then we're gonna return this new image. Since we declared here two keys that we're gonna press, we need to override on the window process function so it can understand what it has to do. So protected override void, it's called vnd proc. I just pressed tab and it's auto completed. So before this base assignation, we're gonna do the following. So if the m.msg equals with 0x0312, in that case we're gonna do the following. So we're gonna get the ID of that key that we pressed. So for example, for escape key, we have assigned the ID of 101. So we need to know here if 101 has been pressed, so to say, or the 101, which is equivalent to the key. So in order to get out the ID, we're gonna do the following. Just type m.vparam dot to int32. Now, whenever we press D or escape, if we console log out the ID, we're gonna get 100 and 101. So if the ID it's equal with 100, we're gonna call a draw function. So if we press the D on the keyboard, we're gonna draw. Otherwise, if the ID is 101, if we press the escape key, then we're just gonna close this application. Okay, let's create the draw function. So private void draw. It doesn't take any arguments. If picturebox1.image is null, Then we're just gonna return. We're not gonna do anything below it. So we need to draw while here on the picture box there's an image also loaded. Let's create an image. We're gonna call here the make black and white function picture box one dot image. Of course, we need to typecast it as bitmap. After that, we need to resize this bitmap because you remember when we resized the form, it's also resized the image that was displayed on the right side. So for that, we're gonna create another function. Let's just call it resize bitmap. And here we're gonna pass the same variable image with the new size, width and picture box dot height. So before we continue, let's create the other uh, function as well. So private bitmap, it's gonna return a bitmap. So the first parameter is a bitmap type. Then here will be the new width and new height. So new image, new bitmap with the new width and new height. After that, we use the graphics to draw the new image. This is how we resize something that it's being drawn. So graphics dot from image, new image. Now we're gonna draw the image, original image from 0, 0 coordinates with the new width and new height. Then we're gonna dispose this graphic and return the new image. Okay, now we have the new resized black and white image. What we have to do is to create a start position point because now we handle the mouse part. Cursor.position. This is the current position of the mouse. This point now holds the X and Y coordinate for the current location on the screen. We need to tell this program that it needs to simulate a mouse click on this coordinate. So we're gonna create a function called click mouse ext from external. Here we're gonna put the start position dot x coordinate and start position dot y coordinate. Okay, before we move on, let's create the clicking function. So we're gonna use the pinvoke here, the mouse event one, which has also two flags for clicking. So we're gonna create a private static void. We're gonna call it click mouse ext. So it's gonna take two parameters, x and y. And now we're gonna do the following. We're gonna call that mouse event pinvoke. Here we need to tell the program to click on this coordinate and then lift the mouse up. So it's gonna click and then release at the same time under the same coordinates. So in order to do that, we're just gonna use these two flags. We're gonna use it like this: the mouse event left down and the other one as first parameter. Careful at this symbol, that's a bitwise OR. After that, it's gonna be x and y, then 0, 0. However, we need to typecast some variables here as uint, the two coordinates. This one can remain like that, and the last one, uint pointer because the last parameter, as you can see, it's a uint pointer. Okay, so with this line of code, we click externally outside of this program somewhere on the screen. After we clicked, we have to release under the same coordinates the mouse click. So in order to do that, let's duplicate this line and we just gonna remove this part. So now we have only mouse left up. Back to our drawing function. After we clicked at the current position, we need to look through the pixels of the image because we have x and y coordinates. We need to do it backward. So and y equals 0, y less than image.width, y plus plus, and then again for the x coordinate. Here will be height for the y coordinate and width for the x coordinate. After that, we need to do it randomly. So we need to randomize the way we look through the pixels. So before these two loops, let's create here a random variable called random equals new random. And now inside the second loop, we're gonna do the following. We're gonna declare an AX called random.next image.width, and then the same for the Y image.height. After that, we're gonna get a pixel color image.getPixel AX and AY, and if this pixel.b we get this byte equals to 0, we're gonna declare some more variables. The draw x position is gonna be start position.x plus the ax from the above, and for the y we do it the same way. Just careful, here is capital Y, capital X. After that, we need to set the cursor position. We gonna use this set cursor position pinvoke function so we can set back the position outside of this program or of the mouse. So here will be draw X and draw Y. And then we're gonna use again the click mouse external function to click under the same coordinates. After that, we're just gonna tell the program to sleep for 5 milliseconds. Let's include the system.threading. So something like this. Now we get out of these loops and then we're just gonna receive a message box telling us that the drawing finished. Let's use a message box button that OK and message box icon dot information. We need to do 3 more things. So in order to add an image to this picture box on the left, we use the drag and drop function. But for that, we need to enable it. We remember inside the constructor, after the components are initialized, the picture box has this property of allow drop, which is set to true, but it's not enough. We need to select the picture box. We go to properties under the events. We need to access the drag enter. So once something has entered while we drag and drop, we just need to tell that e.effect it's gonna be equal to drag and drop effects dot copy. So whatever we move with drag and drop, we don't want to move it exactly. We just need to copy it. And after that, we select again the picture box. We go to events and we go to drag drop function. So this is where everything is gonna be called. So we're gonna do here the following. We need to get the path of the file that has been dropped onto this picture box. So in order to do that, we declare the following variable. So we're gonna have here a files array, which is e.data.getData, and then data formats dot file drop. However, we need to typecast it here as a string array. So this receives a multiple files that probably we can drag and drop. After that, we're gonna set picturebox1.image equals with image dot from file files dot zero. So even though we are allowed to drag and drop multiple files, we just care about the first file, the first element of this array. Now we declare a bitmap type variable file image equals, here we call them black and white function again. It's gonna be image from file, again that first element from the array. Here we need to typecast this image as bitmap. After that, we start to draw the image. We're gonna use this using keyword graphics gr, and we're gonna draw the black and white image on the panel controls. So here on the right side. So panel dot create graphics. We're gonna prepare this panel to be able to create graphics. So gr.clear, first we're gonna clear the panel with the same color that we set the background color to. So slate gray. After that, draw image, file image 0, 0, picture box 1 dot width, picture box 1 dot height. So now we finish with the drag and drop function. Let's run the program. As you can see, we can still resize everything. However, if we drag and drop here an image and we resize now, as you can see, the panel on the right side, it's not redrawing the image. It keeps the previous size of the image. So we need to keep redraw the image on the right side while we resize. We need to access the event of the resize function from this panel. So we select the panel, we go to properties, events, and we have here resize. Just double click here. Pretty similar with this one here. So what we can just copy paste and put it here. However, we're gonna get rid of this one. And before receiving this error, we're just gonna tell here that if this picture box one that image is null, we're just gonna return, don't do the code below. Here, instead of getting the black and white image from file, we're gonna do it from this picture box one dot image, but we have to typecast it as bitmap. We don't need this line here. And that's it, that should be it. Let's try it out. So now if we drag and drop this file here and we resize, as you can see, this image keeps being redrawn on this panel. So let's give a try. Let's try to put this smiley face here. Let's resize it and try to draw it again. Let's select the pencil with thickest part and hit D. Need to replace the way we showed the message. But as you can see, the image has been drawn successfully. You can just play here with the tools in Paint. You can also use the 3D Paint from the Windows 10. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any issues or questions about this project or anything in general related to the topic, to the content of my YouTube channel, you can find me on Discord. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, please comment down below with a link with a screenshot taken of an image that you were drawing using this program.